Hi, I'm back in this setup for unexplained lore reasons. Another year, another dollar, everybody. Quite literally, these videos make no money. And you know what they say, there's nothing promised in this world but death, taxes, and a Scuffed Game Awards video at the end of the year, which is why the first one is actually the most viewed video on YouTube. Do not check that. This year, Jeff Keighley was cancelled once again, not for inappropriate behavior with a Muppets co-star, it was because, if I have this correct, he was massacring people live on stage while they were giving their award speeches. That's what I got from Twitter, at least. So for a second year running, all awards have been nullified and new ones will be placed in their stead, starting with Best Hour-Long Game, Birth. I feel like the best way to make a quick impression is visually, and this game has a pretty unique presentation that I'd describe as relaxing spooky. It's got a very simple story, doesn't bog itself down with overly long or complicated puzzles. It's just a nice side adventure that I grew more attached to after striking off on my own and starting from scratch this year. Best 100-hour-long game, Tears of the Kingdom. I will admit I haven't touched this game in a hot minute and I'm still relatively pretty early on, but it's not because I don't like it, it's mainly just because other stuff got in the way and I'm officially overusing my Switch portably. It's just too cheap and cramped feeling to play it like that anymore, but I'm still committed to finishing it eventually. It's just an easy game to sink a ton of time into and it's got a bit of a faster pace than Breath of the Wild, which was always a touch too slow for me. This is probably a game I'm going to be playing a lot of next year. Best Apology, probably like Todd Howard telling everyone to just get their bread up. That was pretty funny.
Why did you not optimize this game for PC?
We did. Upgrade your PC.
Game that needed to go through bulking season, El Paso Nightmare. I don't think this game was technically from this year, but I played it a couple of weeks ago and this thing needed a little more. I've been eyeing El Paso Elsewhere for a minute. It's like this cerebral Max Payne-esque retro style game that seems pretty fun, and El Paso Nightmare is like a tiny spin-off of that game, which came out before it. I don't know exactly how that works. It's meant to be cheap and quick, which it is, but it could have done with a longer first half of actual linear exploration and story. The fully handcrafted stuff in this game lasts about 10 minutes max, and then transitions into an endless horde mode, which is fun and tense, but also lacks any real progression, which makes it feel a little bit pointless. I was done with this game in like half an hour, but its longer counterpart is still something that really interests me. Game that needed to go through cutting season, Final Fantasy 16. Jesus, for a game with so many cutscenes, they sure didn't cut scenes. I'm so stupid. Most forgettable, Atomic Heart. This game has such a cool visual style. It was pretty competently made, even if it had some major deficiencies, and the powers are really great, but its legacy will forever be two sexy robots and a horny fridge. I don't even dislike this game, but it already seems to be out of the public consciousness. Favorite controversy, Unity announcing that they would be charging people for more Unity services, charging people every time their Unity game was installed by somebody, and charging people for breathing next to a computer that happened to have Unity installed on it. A change that went over so smoothly that the CEO stepped down a month later. Now, some people might think this controversy had a bit of a pacing issue, you know, they introduced things too quickly, you couldn't get connected to the characters, the ending felt a little bit rushed, but I'm an action man, you know, I like my controversies quick. Bing bang boom, everyone use Godot now. Biggest surprise, Alan Wake 2. Soundtrack. I can't say I was all that excited about Alan Wake 2 before it released, especially since I never played the first one, but then I heard that song at the Game Awards and I was like, wait, that's a banger. And then I played the game and every song that I came up to, I was like, wait, that's a banger. And now I'm like only listening to music from the Alan Wake 2 soundtrack. Really didn't see that coming. Also, Baldur's Gate 3. I feel like no one was really talking about it until it had its official release, and then all of a sudden it was like the most talked about thing in the industry, which was pretty cool. Best cutscene, the one from the King Kong game where they just use a JPEG in the middle of the scene. Best story, Hogwarts Legacy. I love the part where you, what happened in this game? Biggest winner, the fans. 2023 was an undeniably great year for games. There were some expected hits, some that seriously exceeded expectations and swept award shows. Unfortunately, it was also the year that I was the most busy of ever all time, so I didn't get to play as much as I wanted to, but it was still nice to see the pace pick up. Biggest loser, the games industry. Layoffs, leaks, ballooning budgets. As great as this year was for us, there's a lot of concern about the future of the industry itself. Sony's seemingly golden model now seems unsustainable. Even successful live service games are showing their volatility, and the biggest companies are shedding more and more of their workforce, and they're all getting hacked. This all feels like a bubble that's about to burst, and there's some major changes that have to be on the way, so it's something to keep an eye on for sure. Biggest letdown, Remnant 2. I just can't get into it. I really loved Remnant 1, but I think I got unlucky with the sequel. The difficulty my little squad chose at first felt ludicrously inconsistent, and there was no way to change it midway through, so we wound up running the whole thing back at a lower difficulty and then got hit with apparently the worst first biome you could get, which was also pretty long. That ended with a boss fight that felt like it was designed by 12 people who refused to look at what any of the others were doing. I cannot describe how little I enjoyed its design. And eventually our frustration just piled up and we all soured on the game. It's got good reviews, people seem to like it. I have a feeling I might have liked it too if I had just gotten a little bit more lucky, but despite being a fan of difficult games, I just didn't respect how my experience was balanced and I've just kind of lost all interest in the thing. Best boss, King of Puppets. This is my favorite boss from Lies of P, which is probably in my top 5 games of this year. The fight is tough, you need to adapt and learn the game's pace and intended playstyle to beat it. It's got one of the most expressive and interesting designs I've seen. Kind of reminds me of that one boss from Nier Automata. This game has a lot of good bosses, but this is my personal favorite. Now it's time to get a little hot and heavy. That's right, we're entering the romance corner. Best love story, Peter and Harry. Worst love story, that guy from Visions Academy who made this intricate plan to ask this other dude out to homecoming, but literally every part of his plan involved Spider-Man, even though he had no idea Spider-Man would be helping him at all. Like bro, not even one part of this was set up properly, not even the TV you've been tinkering with for the past hour, even though all it has to do is spell out 2 words. Plus this other super genius can't seem to work out after this gigantic romantic gesture that ends with a big declaration of love that the giant malfunctioning board that says home might just be a reference to the homecoming dance that's coming up. My man is genuinely totally lost as to what's being asked here. Aren't you all supposed to be gifted kids? What do you got, eggs for brains or something? Most romantic tension, Ada Wong and me. Most neckbeard yoink sessions, the girl from GTA 6 probably. Best bestiality, Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, I think that's enough for the romance corner. Surprise indie game of the year, Pizza Tower. That's right, I remembered to put it in here. Me, I remembered. Nobody reminded me. This game is basically weaponized ADHD. It's weird as hell, fast as hell, and fun as heck. I had such a good time poorly speedrunning this game, and it managed to stay fresh and new throughout all of its many themed levels and bosses. Best indie. Well, seeing as how I just woke up from a coma that started January 1st, 2023, and only have a list of upcoming indies of 2023 to go off of, I'm gonna assume that the best indie this year was Hollow Knight's Silk Song. Congratulations, Hollow Knight. You really knocked that out. What was that? It didn't come out this year. Okay. Wow, I really thought it was gonna. Okay, that's all right. Then the best indie this year is Replaced. Good job, guys. You really knocked that out. That one didn't come out either, huh? Okay, congratulations to The Plucky Squire. Congratulations to Skate Store. Congratulations, Katana Zero DLC. Congratulations, Hades 2. Congratulations to the Ford F-150 Lightning for winning this year's Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Congratulations, Hyperlight Breaker. This award no longer exists. To be honest, I missed a lot of indies this year, more than usual. I'm sure Cocoon, Sea of Stars, Dredge, Bomb Rush, Cyberpunk, Laika, Age Through Blood, and a ton others were great, but I guess I was too busy making my own indie games to get to any of them. Actual best indie, Dave the Diver.
I wish to see the streets run red with blood.
Worst fan base, Spider-Man. God, this got insufferable quick. Actual valid criticism of the second game started jamming against weird personal vendettas, and it went from people saying that the game played it a bit too safe and was a little bit rushed in areas, to people cheering the fact that Insomniac got hacked because they single-handedly hatcheted Peter Parker, turned him inside out, and shoved Miles Morales into his corpse. The lack of awareness and literacy is off the charts here. People kept talking about how the game getting 0 awards is proof that they totally messed it up, and everyone knows this game is doo-doo, completely ignoring the fact that the first game didn't even win any awards, you brain-dead chimpanzees. Game I was most right about, Jedi Survivor. I was simply ahead of my time. Game that almost let me steal my roommate's girlfriend, Overcooked. I swear, a couple more sessions and she would have been mine, dude. I was so close. Best Metroidvania, Rusted Moss. The grapple physics in this game are a real learning curve to master, but the elasticity it has makes it stand out against similar mechanics in other games. It's not too short, not too long, and I like its focus on creative exploration instead of huge combat moments, although it does have a couple of those too. Best New Studio, Round 8. Lies of P is their second game after Bless Unleashed, but they're bright-faced enough to qualify as a new studio, and I'm just amazed at the level of detail and fine-tuning they put in this game. Some people might still call it a Bloodborne clone, but it has its own playstyle, a ton of unique ideas, a really cool narrative, and not to mention it looks amazing. They also seem to be really connected to their community. I really liked how open and honest they are with their little dev chats. I'm so excited for what they're going to do next, and from what they've teased, the series that they might be kicking off here is one that I'm super on board with. Best purchase of the year, my Steam Deck. I just can't believe I was playing GTA 5 on a plane. Like, that's awesome. Slightly less awesome was having to uncomfortably sit through the scene where Tracy's dancing like a stripper while I was sitting shoulder to shoulder with an old man and an old woman, but you know, you win some, let me lose some. Worst purchase of the year, my Steam Deck, because I bought it 2 weeks before the OLED came out, and now I feel like a goofball. Game that I came back to the most, Have a Nice Death. This might not have the same level of depth or run variety as something like Dead Cells, but it's so sleek and fluid that it just became my go-to, I'll play one run to pass the time game. It's got one of my favorite art styles ever. Game that gave me a colonoscopy, Redfall. Most anticipated, Replaced. Again. Biggest question mark of 2024, Black Myth Wukong. Every day I kind of flip-flop on whether I think this game can live up to the unreasonable hype it set up for itself early on, or if it'll play like a stiff, half-finished project that came from an overly ambitious team. There have been good signs and bad signs. At this point, I'm just gonna put my hands up and see what they have in store. Most planets, Starfield. Good job, Starfield, you won something. I'm so happy for you. You probably shouldn't have done it, but good job. It definitely went against your core design philosophies, but great performance. Mostly finished, this video. Wait, what?
Champion of light, herald of darkness, lost in the